Hey guys, welcome to No Filters, Just Freedom, the show for people who are ready to stop shrinking, start rising, and live with unapologetic audacity. My name is Jasmine, I'm a life coach, and I'm here to guide us all through this journey of bold, authentic living. Hey guys, welcome back, and I am excited to dive right into today's topic. Have you ever felt like a stranger in your own life? Like you're wearing a costume that no longer fits, reciting lines to a play you didn't write? Maybe it's the career you built that now feels like a cage, the personality you adopted to so many of your loved ones that now feels like a lie, the story you've told about your past that you've outgrown. So, what if the most radical thing you could do is choose yourself? Not the self that your parents expected, not the self that your resume lists, not the self that your mistakes have defined, not the self that algorithms and advertisers also try to sell you, but the self you, deep in your quietest moments, decide to be. We talk about finding ourselves like we're on some scavenger hunt for a finished statue buried in the dirt. But what if that's the biggest lie we were sold? What if identity isn't found? It's actually built, brick by brick, choice by choice. This isn't about self-improvement. This is about self-definition. And it's, I believe, the ultimate act of rebellion against a world that desperately wants to tell you who you are. So, welcome to the Identity Rebellion. And today we're creating our own self-definition and letting go of who we once were. So first off, we spend so much time talking about our identity, about adding new skills, new traits, new goals, but we rarely talk about the equally vital and often more painful other half of the process, the art of shedding and letting go. To find ourselves, we must have the courage to release who we were, to make space for who we're becoming. And to build something new, we must first clear the land of our past by being aware of what we need to let go of. The truth is, learning what to let go of doesn't usually announce itself with a bang. It whispers in a feeling of dissonance. So let's talk about the things we're actually shedding. The first is the identity of past trauma. This is a heavy one, guys, okay? Our entire sense of self can actually be built around one painful event. Weird to think about because that's not something we normally process through or normal thinking about, but like you can build your entire picture of yourself, your personality, based on something terrible that happened to you. Your parent died, so you're the kid that doesn't have a parent. You had a situation happen in school. You're the kid who failed out of school. Anything like that. Oh, you got divorced. Oh, you're the unmarried person now. Oh, you're the woman that got divorced. You're the man that couldn't make his marriage work. Whatever it is, we take one painful snapshot and we just decide that that's who we are as a person. Like there's nothing else to you. Like you're not multifaceted. Like just that one thing is your entire being. And because of that, it makes us become a victim of circumstance. The person from the broken family or the one who was betrayed, it was me that was stuck in that situation in that moment. And it can unfortunately become a safe harbor because it explains our pain and elicit care from others. Okay? Like all of a sudden you're like, well, I want to stay in this place because, for lack of better terms, it's the evil that we know. And it feels good to be seen and taken care of and for people to, care about you. Now, the problem is if you're not careful, you won't see the difference between somebody caring about you and somebody feeling bad for you. And you definitely don't want people feeling bad for you like you're some wounded, lost dog, okay? We're looking for people to care and give us value and acceptance and love, but that doesn't necessarily mean that we get that all the time. We might get someone that feels pity for us. And so while you're looking for your safe place to land because that's all you know, that victim mentality is all that you know, you're actually also not getting the caring that you're looking for, okay? But here's the truth. Holding on to this story is keeping the wound open. All right, you're not actually healing, you're keeping it open. Your identity has become a monument to your pain. You just keep worshiping that pain. You keep just idolizing it. You've put a stamp there and said, look at this situation. Don't ever forget it. And you're truly blocking the sun for things that need to grow. All right, there are other things that want to bloom in your life and they can't because you're blocking the source of goodness. Okay, shedding something and letting go of something doesn't mean denying it. It means refusing to let it be the entire definition of you. All right, I'm going to say that one more time. Letting go doesn't mean you deny the circumstance. The circumstance doesn't go away. We don't pretend like it didn't happen. All right, it's still there. It's still a part of you, but it means refusing to let it be the entire definition of you. Something can be a part of your life, a part of your history, a part of your past, and it doesn't have to encompass all that you are. Okay? So that's the identity of past trauma we have to let go of. The next thing we have to do is get rid of the identity of past mistakes and successes. Okay? We can let our failures become our identity. It's similar to our past trauma. You know, you become a victim to your failure, okay? The person who always quits. I'm the person who always messes up relationships. I'm the person that always fails at the job. I'm always. And you get stuck in the fact that you have made mistakes in the past, okay? We write a story where the worst chapter becomes the title of the whole book. Like, your whole life is not made up of that mistake you made 15 years ago. You aren't your past. You're the person who learned from your past. Okay? You had to live through it. You had to grow through it. You had to do something about it. You made it to the other side. It is not who you are at all times. And holding on to this past failure is a way to avoid the risk of trying again and maybe failing again. Failing hurts. It's hard to get back up after you've fallen on the ground. It's not fun, but that doesn't mean it's not necessary. That doesn't mean it's not good for you. That doesn't mean it's not the best way forward. You cannot be afraid of the risk, so you hold on to the past. It's unhealthy. You become stagnant. And then on the opposite end of the spectrum, it can be really hard to overcome our successes, okay? It's a bit trickier. You cling to the glory, that version of you, long after the moment has passed. Okay, we make fun of those people that say, you know, we peaked in high school, and so all of a sudden, you know, you just keep reliving the glory days of captain of the football team and head cheerleader, and you know, I helped my school. I don't know if you're a mathlete or something. Hey, I brought glory to this, and everybody looked at me and said, "Wow, you did this, you made it," you know. And you're like, yeah, that's who I was. And that was you at 17. And now here you are at 30 still talking about, yeah, that's who I was. Look at what I've done. And you keep introducing yourself by your old title, not who you are now. Okay? That's who you once were. And it was a great moment in time. And you're awesome and amazing for having that moment. But that doesn't mean that that's who you are right now. Okay? You're using your past accolades as a shield against present irrelevance. And I know that could hurt. Like, your goal is not to be irrelevant right now, so you keep holding on to the past glory. You're afraid of stepping into a new field. You're afraid of, you know, what happens if I'm not seen as the best anymore? What happens if people don't appreciate what I brought to the table? What happens if we forget about who I used to be? You can honor the past, okay? Honoring the past is one thing, but being held hostage is another, okay? You have to let go of some of your successes so that you can learn new successes, okay? You can be grateful for all of the great things that you have done in your life and the wins and all of these things that go along with it, and you can grow to be better and have more successes in the future. But very similar to dealing with past failures, you have to be willing to step out and maybe not be seen for a little bit. Maybe you're going to have to step out and fail a little bit before you're known for your successes again. It's hard. That's what we have to overcome. That's the identity we have to let go of. The next identity is the identity of society's labels. Society gives us endless boxes, okay? There's success, there's failure, there's leader, there's follower, introvert, extrovert, mother, CEO. The list goes on, okay? And these boxes themselves aren't inherently bad, but they become cages when we mistake the map for the territory, okay? It's like you can't see the forest through the trees, all right? You think that label is who you are. When you get a new job, or you meet some new people, or you're just in a new group, and they say, tell us something about yourself. And we're so quick to describe ourselves by society's label. We're so quick to be like, this is who I am. And so we don't maybe give multiple options. You might seem long-winded, but you are more than just one thing. If I were to walk into the room and had to introduce myself, I wouldn't just be a mom and a wife. And honestly, I can't tell you that those would be the first two things I said. I don't know, because I have to think about it in the circumstance that I'm in. But you can share parts of you and give a full picture rather than just being a mom, rather than just being a wife, rather than just being a business owner, okay? You can hide inside that label because it's safer than the terrifying freedom of being undefined. You're scared of that thought of, who am I? What am I? What do I bring to the table if I'm not in these labels? There's a freedom in not being labeled, but it is scary. It can be really, really scary out there, so we cling to the safety of hiding inside that box. It's easier to say, I'm an anxious person, than face the daily work of choosing courage. I'll say that again. It's easier to say, I'm an anxious person, than to face the daily work of choosing courage. It can be overwhelming. It can be frustrating. It can be scary, but that doesn't mean that you can't overcome society's labels. You are more than one label. You are more than the box they try to put you in. And lastly, we have to let go of the identity of others' expectations, okay? This is the heaviest one. This is the burden. This is the one that's probably the hardest for people to deal with. Okay, you have the weight of your parents' dreams, or our partner's needs, or culture's definition of what would be considered a good life. We contort ourselves to fit a shape we never chose. And sometimes that shape feels safe because it's familiar. Okay, I know the expectations my parents have for me because they've had them my entire life. So I know how to just work within them. Doesn't matter if it's what I want. Doesn't matter if it's how I see myself. It doesn't matter about any of that. You just get comfortable in what that means and how you bring it to the table, okay? It's like familiar, but it's death by 1,000 cuts, okay? You're just slowly dying on the inside because you're choosing to go somewhere that is difficult and hard and not healthy for your situation. You're a square peg trying to get into a round hole, but you're used to it, so you keep doing it. And it's so unhealthy. Every time you say yes when you mean no, you're actually betraying yourself. Okay? Living a life of quiet resentment and sacrificing yourself on the altar of should means that everyone can feel the inauthenticity but you. Okay? When you start saying yes and you're sacrificing yourself and you're like, no, I'll be a martyr for the cause, everyone can see the lack of authenticity except for you. And you've got to be able to let that go. You've got to be able to walk away from the expectations of others, even if there's a fear that I'm going to be wrong, or maybe they knew better about me, or I don't even know my own self. How am I supposed to, I don't know what expectations to have for myself. Other people's expectations at least gave me boundaries. You got to be able to walk away from all that to have freedom. You got to let that go in order to be the best version of yourself. The truth is that rebellion starts with questioning every single assumption, and letting go begins with the pain of staying the same. It begins when the pain of staying the same finally outweighs the fear of the unknown. Okay? Letting go begins when the pain of staying the same finally outweighs the fear of the unknown. When you finally get tired, when you finally get done, when you're finally like, I can't walk around this mountain one more time, that's when letting go begins. And now that you've identified what needs to go, how do you actually do it? It's a process, not a single event. It's essentially a funeral for an old version of you. The first step one, is to grieve. Okay, you have to grieve. You have to allow yourself to feel the loss. And I know it's hard because letting go can be really, really disorienting. You don't know what's up or what's down or where you're going or what you're doing. It's complicated. It's hard. It's frustrating. Grieving is hard. It's okay to be sad, scared, or to feel a sense of emptiness. These are normal things. All right, it's okay to feel that. You don't have to stay there, but it's okay to feel those things in the moment. It's okay to miss the cage or the box that you used to be in because at least that cage was familiar. It's hard to step out into the unknown. It's hard to not know where we're going in the future. It's hard to be out here with the elements and just be like, what if I don't know? I just don't know which way to go. That's hard and it's scary. And sometimes you want to turn back around and go back to the old you. You have to give yourself permission to grieve. Step 2 is create a ritual of release. Okay? This is important because it makes the letting go, it makes shedding tangible. You do things physically, like you can donate old clothes or delete old apps, or really a great one in this day and age is to unfollow accounts that make you want to be the past version of yourself. You actively do things that you can tangibly see so that you realize I'm stepping into a new me. I'm stepping into a new version of me. Okay, I got a new wardrobe. I changed my phone out, changed my passwords. I'm stepping into a new me. Okay, then you can create a ritual verbally. Okay, you speak things like, I'm trying to let go of my need to be the person who always has it together. You know, I'm letting go of that. I'm vocalizing, I'm putting it out there to myself and to people that I am choosing to be a better version of me. Okay, speaking it out loud to yourself and to other people makes it real. And then, of course, you do the ritual symbiotically. Okay, you write down the letting go identity, the shedding identity that you're doing, and then you destroy it. Okay, I don't care if you rip it to shreds. I don't care if you burn it, throw it down the garbage disposal. I don't care what you do with it. You let your dog eat the paper. I don't care. But the point is you write down the old you and then you destroy it. Ritualizing it tells your subconscious that this is real and it's over. I no longer have to deal with it. I've moved on to something new. I am a new creation in this moment. You want to ritualize some of these things, okay? And then the final step, step 3, is embracing the in-between identity. Okay, this is the most vulnerable part. Have to be okay with that weird space between the old and the new. The time after you let go of the old but haven't quite picked up something new, that's the thing that's overwhelming. That's the thing that we can be scared of. That's the feeling that will overwhelm us, okay? You're not quite who you were, but you aren't yet who you're gonna be. What do you do in the gray area? What do you do in the in-between? Does anybody know? Are you unsure? If you're unsure, if you are sure, what do you do? And when you don't know, how do you handle not knowing? How do you decide what's okay and what's not okay? Are you comfortable sitting in the silence, or do you have to fill the void? Okay? This feeling of being lost and undefined isn't a sign that you've made a mistake. I know that's a thought that we all have, like, oh, because I don't know where I'm going or what I'm doing or anything else, I must have made a mistake in the path that I've chosen. It's not true. You haven't made a mistake. It's a necessary chaos where transformation happens. Okay? Think of it like the caterpillar turning into the butterfly. There's that weird in between where it's, God, what do you call it? It's like a chrysalis, okay? Where you're changing and you're transforming and it's just, nothing's happening. You can't see what's happening on the inside. It feels really stationary. You haven't quite got there. You're not a caterpillar, but you're not a butterfly either. What are you doing in the in-between? Because that's where the transformation is happening. That's where you're becoming who you were supposed to be in your new identity, okay? It's not about finding a new identity, but asking, well, what now? And you ask what now without needing an immediate answer, okay? You can sit and listen and wait. You can wait on finding the new you. You don't have to do it in the blink of an eye. You don't have to do it immediately. You can sit and you can wait and you can process. And that's really, really important, okay? That's the final step. Are you willing to sit in the in-between comfortably? And only after this can we actually build. Okay? It starts with understanding identity as a verb, not a noun. Okay? And identity is something that you are doing. It is an action. It is not a thing. Identity is not a thing. It's not something you are, it's something you do. And you do it every day. Okay? So the first tool that you want to have in order to build your identity is creating the power of micro choices. All right, and I know people don't talk about this a lot, but micro choices are a big thing, okay? Defining ourselves doesn't require a big, grand gesture, okay? It's not, I gave all this money to the poor, or I donated all these clothes, or I sacrificed Habitat for Humanity, I built a house with some people to do. That's awesome. And I'm not saying grand gestures aren't amazing, but sometimes your identity is forged in the tiny, seemingly insignificant moments, okay? Like you just decide that you go walking when you're feeling lazy and just want to lay in the bed. Choosing to go walking when you're lazy is valuing health, okay? You've decided that my health matters and I'm gonna go do this. It's the tiny choice, okay? The tiny choice of apologizing when you're wrong means that you're actually a person of integrity, and that's something that you value. It was a small choice to just apologize, but it means something greater. All right? If you decide, I have some free time, I have about 30 minutes, and so you turn your phone off and choose to read something, you're a person that may value some depth, and that's okay. It's something as simple as turning your phone off, turn it on Do Not Disturb, do something like that. It's okay, because now that's showing you that you are more than just the superficial. All right? You're not just actions. These are not just actions, but votes for the person you want to become. All right? You're making these small but significant choices that show you who you are becoming in your new identity. And eventually, these little votes, these little choices, they add up to the big thing. So rather than have one big thing, sometimes a lot of smaller things make up for that. What that looks like for me as a practical example is like in my marriage. Look, I'm that girl that's like cool with Valentine's Day, but I don't really care about Valentine's Day. Like I really don't. And this is just hot take. I don't care about Valentine's Day because I feel like what you do on Valentine's Day is something you should be doing for me all the time in my marriage. You don't need a holiday to take me to dinner. You don't need a holiday to drop me a gift. My love language is gifts. You don't need a holiday to bring me some chocolates. Okay? Just wake up and decide, hey, I brought her some chocolates. And that's really awesome and appreciative. So Valentine's Day is great, and I'm here to celebrate the holiday, and I'm not, against the holiday in any way whatsoever. I'm simply saying that I don't need one big grand gesture. I want a lot of small ones throughout the rest of the days of the year, okay? If you do one gesture, 364, it's way more than one gesture on one day. That's how my brain works, okay? Sometimes the tiny gestures add up to more than just one grand gesture. The second tool that you need is curating your inputs, okay? You can't define yourself in a vacuum, okay? You can't tell yourself that I am who I am in this really small space of what it is, things that are kind of just sucking you dry. Your mind is a garden. What you feed it determines what grows. Okay, you have to decide what you're bringing to the table, what helps you get bigger. You can't just be in this small little box and think that that's going to build something that you don't have. You have to be careful with what you put inside of you. All right. The algorithm isn't a neutral curator to identity. It's an identity thief. All right. It sells a prepackaged self-base of your fears. That's kind of how that works. Okay. The universe isn't automatically just going to tell you who you are and have this great identity. You have to fight for it. You have to build it. You have to be more with it. Okay. So you have to rebel. You have to unfollow. You have to read a different book. You are what you consume. So consume deliberately. We think about this all the time. When it comes to health. You are what you eat. We think about eating healthy so you feel healthy and everything else. It works the same way with your mind and your identity. what you say about yourself, what you put inside of yourself, what you call yourself is what will grow inside of you and what you believe. Okay? And you have to make sure you input good things. And the last tool is the question of who. This is the most powerful tool. Okay? You ask questions like, who do I want to be in this moment? Who do I want to be? Do I want to win a fight, or do I want to connect in the relationship? Do I want to shrink because of a failure, or do I want to become resilient? Do I rush past joy, or do I savor it? Do I appreciate what I'm bringing, or am I just moving on to the next thing? Asking this question of who you want to be in the moment transforms power from the circumstance back to you. Okay? So you're no longer about your identity and what you're bringing to the table, but you are about the little moments. Okay? It's about taking the power back away from, I am this thing because I am my failure in my past, but now I can say, hey, this is who I want to be in this moment. And this is how I want to project myself. Okay? You become the author, not just the character in your own story. You're now the protagonist, not a sideline character. And it's so important to take that power back from life. So here's the hard truth. When you change the ecosystem of every relationship you're in, and not everyone will be happy about it. Okay? You are going to face some backlash. People will try to force you back into the old box. All right? They'll call you different in a negative tone. Oh, they think they're better now. They'll tell stories of the old you. Remember when you used to do this? They want you to feel guilty about changing. They want to hold you back. They're not okay with you being the best version of yourself. Their resistance isn't about you though. It's about them. It holds up a mirror to their own stagnation that they don't want to see. Okay? I'm watching you be great. Now I feel bad about whether or not I'm being great myself. Misery loves company. I'm going to bring you back down so that I don't feel crappy and left alone. Letting go holds them accountable without saying a word. I don't say anything. I'm just living my truth. Now they're trying to figure out, well, how can I live my truth and how can I be a better version of myself? So then you have to say, well, how do I respond to this backlash? You don't owe anyone and everyone a long explanation. That is really important. You do not have to justify why you are doing what you're doing. There are some people you might want to explain yourself to that may or may not deserve to hear an explanation, but you do not owe a long explanation to everybody. You can simply embody your new truth. Use I statements like, I'm trying to be this new thing instead of this what I used to be, okay? You hold the boundary gently but firmly. Say, look, this is my new standard and this is what I'm sticking to. And you can understand that some relationships have expiration dates, okay? Some people are only there for a season and you gotta be okay with letting them go. You gotta be okay with moving past this to be the better version of yourself, okay? Letting go is a filter. It will show you who is truly for you and who was only for you in the role you played in their life, okay? It means rewriting the internal narratives. It means embracing fluidity. And most of all, it means accepting the cost. Yes, defining yourself will disappoint people, and it will make some uncomfortable. When you stop playing the role they assigned you, the play falls apart. This is the scariest part. The temporary discomfort of setting a boundary is infinitely better than a lifelong resentment of never having lived as yourself. The cost of identity rebellion is high. The cost of conformality is actually your soul. So what do we do with all of this? We start today. And this isn't a one-time event. It's a lifelong practice of release. So let's make it practical. This week, I invite you to 1, identify one thing to let go. One small identity, one bad habit, or one story. Let the old you go. 2, choose one ritual. How do you want to release it? Are you burning it? Are you giving it away? What are you doing to let go ritually that you can keep up? 3, tolerate the void. Okay, be okay with the blank space. For an afternoon, resist the urge to fill the emptiness with noise, productivity, or your phone. Okay, just sit with the quiet and see what emerges. And lastly, ask the question. One moment, ask, who do I choose to be in this moment? Who do you choose to be? And look for that answer. That's it. That's the revolution. It happens not in the streets, but in the quiet space between your thoughts and your actions. Look, you aren't a finished product. You're a becoming. You're a work in progress, a story that is still being written, and you finally have the pen back. Your identity is not found, it's built. And every single day you get to choose the materials. So thank you for listening to this episode of No Filters. If this idea of rebellion resonated with you and you're in the messy, beautiful process of letting go, share it with someone else who needs to hear it's okay to go through it too. Now, go on, get out of here and cause some trouble by being unapologetically, defiantly beautiful you. May you have the courage to release who you were and the faith to embrace who you are becoming. Remember, you don't need permission to be great. And this is your call to rise, to reclaim your power, and to step boldly into the life you were meant to live. I believe extraordinary potential lives in all of us. The dreams we've tucked away, the voice that was softened, and the fire that's been waiting to burn bright. This journey isn't about fitting into someone else's mold. It's about shattering expectations and embracing your truest, most unapologetic self. No more shrinking or waiting for permission. The world needs your brilliance, your resilience, and your unique light. It's time to stop asking, am I enough? And start declaring, I am more than enough. Your next chapter begins now. Let's write it with courage, audacity, and unshakable belief in who you are. The unstoppable person isn't born, they're awakened. And that person is you. Now go start your revolution. This world needs your unshaken light today.